Welcome. It's Relationships at Work, the leadership podcast helping you build workplace connection, improve culture, and avoid blind spots. I'm your host, Russel Lolacher, communications leadership expert, a couple of decades of success in both those areas, and a whole heap of curiosity, just like you, on how we can make the workplace a better place. Thank you once again for joining me for these mini episodes. These are just quick, valuable nudges or bright ideas. I guess it really depends on where you are in your leadership journey, what your experiences are, whether these are new ideas, whether they're good reminders, whether they're hitting you at the right time. Anyway, I just thought they'd be helpful. They're not taxing when it comes to time investment, but it might make you, nudge in the right direction, or maybe even come up with your own ideas about how you can be a better leader within the realm of the topic we're talking about. This one, well, what else is new? I'm a comms nerd. So this is very much about how we frame words, because they're not interchangeable, even though sometimes there are leaders that like to think they are. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about problems, challenges, and opportunities. And they are not the same thing. I want to talk about something that seems small on the surface, but actually, it says a lot about the workplace culture and how leaders communicate. And that's the words we use when things go wrong. Problem, challenge, opportunity. It happens a lot, but we don't talk about it enough. Something doesn't go the way it's supposed to. It breaks down. Like a project going sideways or a team struggling. And as you're defining it, someone calls it a problem. But before another comment can be made, we're corrected by somebody who says, you know what? It's not a problem. It's a challenge. Or it's not a problem. It's an opportunity for growth. Usually comes from somebody a little higher up on the hierarchy, but they're trying to shift or reframe the issue at hand. It's not my favorite, but I do get the instinct. We want to be positive. We want to reframe. Nobody wants a culture of negativity. And how we speak about things in the workplace, it really does matter. But this is an overcorrection. And when we overcorrect on language, we lose something important. And we are dipping our toes a little too much into the toxic positivity pool. Words matter. And by just thinking that they can be interchangeable, we're missing the moment. We're missing an opportunity to be clear and to actually resolve what's in front of us. Two things have brought this up for me. The first, I was listening to the audiobook for Move Fast and Fix Things. Highly recommend this book. Again, it's called Move Fast and Fix Things, The Trusted Leader's Guide to Solving Hard Problems, and it's by Ann Morris and Francis Frey. They make a point, and I haven't been able to shake this point. They really like the idea of calling something a problem because it creates urgency. When you name it a problem, people understand it needs to be dealt with now. But when you reframe it, like as a challenge or as an opportunity, suddenly it feels like something that can wait. Something you can kick down the road. Maybe it's next quarter's agenda item or put it in the strategic plan. Sometimes later is too late. Later ignores now. The second came from a conversation I had with a senior leader years ago. They were very well versed in surveying. They designed organizational surveys. And I wanted to talk to him about the results of some of these things. And problems came up, also challenges and opportunities. Because when he gets the results from these surveys, he then has to go back to executive to talk to them about what they've heard and the results. So you can imagine the conversation around what's a problem, what's an issue, what's a challenge, what's an opportunity. And he's like, basically calling things a challenge is not right when things are really a problem. And he used this great example. When someone is drowning, and I've thought about this many times, when someone is drowning, we can't call it a challenge. This isn't an opportunity to learn how to swim, right? If I'm drowning, suddenly I'm like, oh, now I'm going to learn. No, you're in panic mode. You are panicked. This is an issue right now that needs to be resolved. Please help me. That's not a challenge. That's not an opportunity. It's a problem, a very real problem. Words matter. A problem isn't a challenge. It isn't an opportunity. They can be, but it's not a thesaurus exercise. It's not an interchangeable thing, okay? It's like leadership and management. They aren't the same thing, even though sometimes a lot of people like to think that they are. I remember one leader who wouldn't let anyone use the term waste, because waste is a problem. So we had to remove it from any documents or presentation items that stated any of it around waste. It's not that they ignored waste, it's that they, I guess, didn't want to put urgency on it by calling it a problem or thinking it's more severe by using the word problem. It was unused resources, it was misallocated resources, something like that. And sure, it might be, but can you see how we remove the urgency out of that? It felt like we were actually ignoring a very real problem. And that's not leadership. Trust-driven leadership is about being honest with ourselves and our teams, and that comes from language and communication. So let's look at it from the leadership perspective. A team member comes to us overwhelmed, genuinely struggling, drowning, as it were, and our well-intentioned response is to reframe their reality. It's not a problem, it's an opportunity. It's not a problem, it's a challenge. We're basically telling them the words they're using for their own experience is the wrong one. We think we're being positive, but what we're actually doing is dismissing them. Now, I'm not saying we need to catastrophize everything. A team that treats every setback like a 5-alarm fire will burn out fast. It's worth a conversation. I'm not saying every problem is actually a problem. Sometimes it is an opportunity. Sometimes it is a challenge. But we can't just quickly dismiss it. Context matters. And here's what I keep coming back to. The goal isn't to find the most optimistic word. The goal is to find the most accurate word and then build trust by being honest about that. If it's a problem, call it a problem. Name it clearly. Create the urgency it deserves. Then work again to solve it. But if it genuinely is a challenge, hard but workable, something that's going to require, real effort, then call it that. But earn the word. Don't use it to soften a blow. Use it because it's true. And if there really is an opportunity inside this mess, point to it specifically. Show your team exactly where it lives. Because vague optimism, that's also not leadership. It's just noise. Great, trusted leaders aren't the ones who always find the silver lining in things. They're the ones who can sit in the reality of something hard, name it honestly, and still show people a way forward. That's the skill. It's not a vocabulary swap. So next time you catch yourself about to say it's not a problem, it's an opportunity, pause. Ask yourself, is that really true? Because your team can handle hard things. They really can. What they struggle to handle is feeling like they can't tell the truth. Now here's the question, because every mini episode we like to dig into a question. For this one, it's how do we stay positive while still being honest about the issue at hand? Because those two things can absolutely coexist. They just take a bit of intentionality. So 3 things I would suggest. First, name the reality, then the direction. Don't lead with optimism. Lead with accuracy and clarity. Say clearly what the situation is, and then in the same breath, say what you're going to do about it. This is a real problem, and here's how we're going to address it. That's more reassuring than, this is actually an opportunity, because it tells people you see what they see and you're not afraid of it. Second, separate the word from the tone. You can say problem without making it like end of the world kind of stuff. The goal isn't a sunnier word. It's an honest message delivered with steadiness. Calm honesty is still honesty. It's your tone that keeps energy up, not the euphemism. And third, find the real opportunity, or don't mention one. If there genuinely is an upside buried in a difficult situation, get really specific. What is it exactly? What would it take to get there? A concrete, specific opportunity your team can actually work toward, that's motivating. But vague optimism? That's just noise. If you can't name it specifically, don't name it at all, and trust that honest clarity is more than enough. Again, words matter. We understand that communication is so integral to good leadership. And words, they have meaning, and they can't be swapped out for one another and not have consequences. To the situation, to our relationships, to the work, to our teams. That could be the real problem. See what I did there? And that will do it for yet another episode of Relationships at Work, a mini episode. This is the Leadership Podcast, helping you build workplace connection, improve work culture, and avoid blind spots. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Russell, always grateful for spending the time with you. I know I say that every episode, but you know what? I am, always am. We are very busy people that don't have a lot of time in our calendars for our jobs, much less improving our leadership. So for you to take the time to prioritize this time, can't tell you what that means to me. It really means a lot. So thank you again for taking it. And I look forward to talking to you again back on Monday with an amazing guest. And then, of course, we're back here next Thursday for another mini episode. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to talking to you again.